Today we're going to go over how to create a tracker. And there are two ways to create a tracker. You can create a tracker from a curriculum map, and we'll go into curriculum maps in a later video. But if you already have a curriculum map, I found it easier to create a tracker from the curriculum map, because when you create your tracker from your curriculum map, all of your assessments in the curriculum map will automatically show up in your tracker. The same if you add any assessments to the curriculum map, it'll automatically show up in your tracker. You can still add those assessments to your tracker if you did not create your tracker from a curriculum map. It just won't flow as easily. So we'll go through how to create your tracker the traditional way, and then we'll go through how to create a tracker from the curriculum map. So you're going to go up here where it says trackers. And the tracker is what it's going to house your scores for each of your courses. So if you only have one class, then you only really need one tracker, unless you want to subdivide standards. So if you are tracking not just one set of standards, maybe you have an elementary class and you're tracking their science and you're tracking their math and you're tracking their reading. If you're tracking multiple subjects, you will need to create a tracker for each subject. If you only teach one subject, if you're middle school or high school, then you'll want to create a tracker for each of your sections of your class. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to click Add Tracker. And we're going to select what subject area we teach. Then you're going to select what core you use. Your core is going to be what standards do you primarily use. We'll go over how to add more standards in a later video, but this is what core standards you're using. So most likely Common Core, or it'll also have your state standards and national standards. We're going to choose Common Core for this one. We're going to select a class. So what level is it? And like I said, you can also add different cores. You can also add different classes. So we'll go over that in a later video, but let's say your students still needed to work on some 10th grade language arts standards. You can add those in as well. And you're going to name it, so second hour, third hour. If it's an elementary class, maybe label it English or science or math or whatever standards you're tracking. So we're just going to call this sample for the purpose of this. Then you can change the color. So you have a lot of colors and you have this color map. I color coordinated mine based on my sections. For all of my English 3, everything is always green, so I made the folders green. My English 4 is always blue, so I made all their folders blue. It's whatever color system you want to do. So for this one, we're going to choose yellow, because I don't use yellow in any of my classes. Then you're going to add students. You can either add students individually, so add them manually, or you can import students from a CSV file or spreadsheet. If you already had a tracker class set up on Mastery Connect, you can copy them from that class. Or you can import students from your student information services if that is available for yours. So it is for ours. And so we'll use that as our example, because adding students individually or from a CSV file is quite easy. So it's importing students from SIS, but that's what we'll walk through in this one. So the only downside to importing students from your student information service is it depends on what grade book system you use. It doesn't always label your courses first hour, second hour, third hour. And so you'll have to go and look and see how many students are in that course to know that you're picking the right one. And if you'll note, I have 2 classes that have the same number of students and are the same type of class. So for that one, I would just have to select it, hope for the best, and go from there. Okay, if you add students individually, you can just go ahead and click Create Tracker, and then you'll add students from there. Or if you're importing from a CSV file, then you'll choose the file. So we'll do add students individually since this is a sample one and we don't want any actual students in it. Okay, so then you'll start by adding your students. So if you haven't added them from SIS and you want to do that now, you can actually search for your students in the Student Information Network here. You can still import from your CSV file. You can still copy from another tracker, or you can physically type them in. So we'll type in random names. You can hit save and close or save and add another. So this is really easy to continue to add students in. You just have to click save and add another. it'll save that student and it'll bring it up so that way you can easily add another students to your list. So we'll add 4 students to our list. And we'll add 1 more just so we can look at what it's going to look like. So we'll click Save and Done. And then we've set up our tracker from the Trackers section. So if you'll see, it labels all of your standards, and all of your standards are all the way across. We will go over some more advanced features of Trackers, how to make it not show certain standards, how to view different power standards, how to view the calendar, how to set substandards. We'll go through all of that in a later video. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a tracker from our curriculum map. So we'll go over how to create a curriculum map in a later video, but I think this is the easier way of creating a tracker, because then anything that you put in your curriculum map will automatically update in your tracker. If you create a tracker from a curriculum map and you want to add an assessment that you don't necessarily want to put on the curriculum map, maybe you're sharing the curriculum map with multiple teachers and this is an assignment you want just for your students that the other teachers are not going to use, you can still add assessments that are not on your curriculum map. So I honestly think this is the easier way to create a tracker. So we're going to create a tracker from our Introduction to Theater and Film curriculum map. So we just click Create Tracker from Map, and it'll automatically import over whatever settings you had as far as standards. Then you'll add your description. So we're going to put 7th hour. We're going to pick a color. We're going to add students individually for the purposes of this video. And then create tracker. So it's really easy because it already sets up what standards you used in your curriculum map, and it'll automatically populate any assessments as well. Okay, so we're going to type in a few students. So we're going to type in possibly a student that we haven't had in another tracker, and then let's say we're going to copy our students from our sample tracker that we had earlier. So we have the same students in this class. So then they automatically just came over to this class, and you can edit them, you can delete the student if you add them individually. If you add it from your student information services, this is something that your tech department will have to do to add and remove students. But if you don't add them individually, then you won't be able to edit and delete them. You'll see that when I created from the tracker from the curriculum map, it automatically put all of my assessments in here. So where you see a 1 or a 3 or 2, that's how many assessments are in there. The grade ones are going to be multiple standard assessments. So these are ones that are multiple standards. So that's the advantages of adding your tracker from your curriculum map.